Guys, Wages World here. It is April 13th, 2020, and we'll come at you with a video here. Alright guys, we're going to talk about the Schumann here real quick. This right here, guys, this is becoming more normal than it isn't. You know, when I first started getting into this research and all of that, this thing would stay pretty constant. We wouldn't see these big spikes as often as we do now. And again, guys, there are so many theories about what causes all that. Okay, now we do know that frequency is very powerful. Okay, it can do so many different things, depending on if you're on the holistic end of it or even mainstream medical stuff. They now accept the fact that frequency can be used to help medically. There's a whole field of medicine now dedicated to that. I'm not sure if it's been actually approved over here, but I know that they have whole hospital wings and sections over in Europe that are dedicated to this. And rightfully so, because you can do so many things with frequency. It's easy to research. You can like take water or pellets or whatever, and you can apply certain frequencies to it. You can make it whatever shape you want. Like the saying goes, it's not over till the fat lady sings, that kind of a thing. And the opera, they're able to break glass and stuff with their voice. Well, that's why. Because they match the frequency of that glass. When they match that, it causes it to break. Okay, that's the science behind that. And Dr. Rife is the one, really, he's a groundbreaking guy that did that back in, I think it was the 20s or 30s. And he was able to match, cancer cell signatures frequency. And when he was able to do that, he was able just to target those cells, and he was able to cure people. Now, there was studies and stuff done with that. I do think everybody should at least take a look at it. But I just wanted to explain, that's why we look at the Schumann, because it does mess with us. This is frequency. Okay? If it's not where it's supposed to be, it's either, making us feel better or making us feel worse. Okay? It's supposed to be 7.83 hertz. Anything outside of that is different than normal. And when it's outside of that, it will, you can take whatever frequency there and you can apply it to either good or bad. And sometimes even the same frequency will affect people differently. So, this is directly related to a whole lot of different things. Mental health, crime rate, tons of studies. But I just wanted to point out, this is just kind of an update on the Schumann because we haven't really talked about it here in a while. These are significant spikes, guys. We shouldn't be getting these every day. That's all I'm saying. We didn't used to, and now we are. So, again, our dash line is still there. Everything else is going on here. So, I'm not going to talk much more about that because, I talk about this a lot. But, the spikes are still happening. And I don't want people to forget. Because we need to look at this. We need to pay attention to this. Because this can help explain and get us to the right answer of what's actually going on. And there's a lot of things that can cause the frequency to go crazy. Most people the first thing people like to go to is CERN. Guys, what I will say to that, yes, when they fire CERN up full blast, I'm telling you right now, yes, it can affect these signatures right here. All right? But it's not the only particle collider on the planet. We cannot forget that. They're all over, okay? Yes, it's the most well-known. It's probably the most powerful one. I know that there were plans to make a bigger one. So, kind of imagine what's going on there. High-speed particle colliders underneath the ground, man. I mean, that takes a lot of energy. And when they're able to do what they think that they can do with that, that's some pretty powerful stuff. So, I do think we need to pay attention to this and everything else around the world right now. Okay? So, yeah. So, there's your update on the Schumann. Okay, guys, I got you over here at SDO. Now, for those that don't know, the position of this is just sets out right in front of the Earth and it always looks at the sun. So, here's the Earth, here's the sun, the satellite's kind of like right there. Obviously, that's not the scale, but that's our perspective. It's from our view, okay? It's not from like over here. like where stereo A is at. But what I want to say here, guys, is we've had a few, decent sized CMEs pop off the sun, but they did not come our direction. Okay, hence most people didn't really talk about it, which is fine. If it's not going to affect us, directly, it doesn't really deserve a whole lot of conversation. I mean, I get that. But at the same time, it does point to the sun is being a little bit more active, and we need to pay attention to that. Plus, the ones that did come off the sun here, I'm telling you, man, if they were facing our way, it probably would have got us up into like a G2 storm, like a KP of 6, maybe even a 7, because these things were not small. And the one that the couple that I'm going to show you here, yeah, I mean, if we took a direct hit from these, we would have definitely known it, is what I'm trying to say. Now, is that would have been electrical stuff or this or that? I can't say. We just don't know. These things did not hit any of our detectors because they went the opposite direction. So we're not going to know how powerful these things are. We can just go off of visual, okay? And that's what we're going to do here. But at the same time, it's that same sunspot that was over here. It's now over here and it's rotated off, okay? We can't see it. It's not Earth facing now, but it's still active, okay? Which tells me that, as it rotates around to the back side, it will make its way back around if it holds together, okay? Now, when it comes back around, is it still going to be active? Who knows? We just got to wait and see. A lot of times those active areas will die down some, and then ramp up, die down, ramp up. They always fluctuate, depending on, what's going on in up around the sun and on the surface there. But I do want to show you these because these, a couple of these were pretty decent sized looking ones, okay? Now, that was the second one. I'm not sure if you guys seen that or not. We'll zoom in here a little bit more. Basically, they look like big filament releases, but when we see them like go real fast and like explode out, that is a CME. The other one, that right there, you see that? That's probably the biggest one out of the two that I've seen. And there's actually a couple smaller ones in there too if you get really down nitty gritty. There's the second one, okay? We'll watch those through again, but most certainly those are decent sized ones, okay? So if they came our way, we would have definitely known it, especially that first one, that one there, okay? That thing there came off pretty fast. It looked like it was popping off there pretty good. Now there is the second one right there, okay? Sometimes, guys, it's kind of hard to tell if it's a CME or not because if it comes off real slow, sometimes it never leaves the sun. The plasma it doesn't leave. Okay, the sun recaptures it, or it never gets free of the sun's gravity. So, it does look like sometimes we get these explosions, but a lot of the times they never make it out of the sun. That's why, we count on our detectors and our other satellites to look at it. With that being said, SEADS is still down. Okay, that is one of the main tools we all use to look at the CMEs. That is the one that we use. We get the black and white view. The site itself is down. We cannot look at it right now. We have nothing to look at. We can go over to ISWA and we can look at Stereo A and we can look at LASCO C2, but we are not going to get the black and white version that we all like to look at because we see more there. We can still kind of keep an eye on things, and I am going to take you guys over there and show you these CMEs real quick, just so you know that, hey, what direction they were going. But those definitely happened. And yes, we are getting some solar wind off and on too from coronal holes. But yeah, so those CMEs, I just wanted to show them to you because number one, they're interesting to look at. Number two, it does point to stuff kind of ramping up a little bit. And that is from that sunspot that was from sun cycle 25, which means that's just another clue that we're going into the next sun cycle and it's starting to ramp up and we're going to, start heading back towards a more active time on the sun. Okay, guys, this is over ISWA, okay? This is Stereo A. Now, to give you guys that don't know, Stereo A is here, right? And it's looking at the sun. Well, where we're at, according to Stereo A, we're kind of like right here. Okay? So that's the perspective. Basically, we're looking at the side and kind of a backside view of the sun. Alright? So what you're going to see here, guys, is you're going to see CME pop off here, and you're going to see that actually you're going to see kind of like a couple different ones. Okay, so we'll actually I'm going to pause that right there, and I'm just going to use my use the slide bar here. But again, just watch here. You're going to see it blow out. It's easy to see. Okay, see how it's doing it right there? I'll back it up. Just rock it back and forth there a little bit. You know, that is a CME. Okay, now remember where I told you Earth was. Okay, it's over here. So obviously that is not coming at us. Okay. Now something else I want to tell you guys too. We had a sun diver. Scott called a sun diver over on Lasco, I think is where he's seen it. But I think it actually showed up here too. Let me show it to you. I think. I'm not sure if this is the one that actually headed towards the sun or not. Can't say for sure. But that right there. Okay. It's hard to tell on these satellites, guys, because unless you're looking directly from behind it, that could be just a little fragment of whatever close to the satellite. It could be far away. Obviously, if it's this size, the further away it would make it this object a little bit more bigger. Now, if this is close to the satellite, obviously it would mean that it was much smaller. Now, it doesn't look like it's traveling towards the sun. Now, that doesn't say that it's not, because again, it's all about the perspective of what we're talking about here. We got to take in consideration, especially like sun diving comets. They dive right into the sun. They'll be looking like they're just going to orbit around, and then they'll just take that sharp turn, and the sun will just eat it up. And so I wanted to bring that to you and show you guys those CMEs and that little bit of a anomaly there. Now I'm looking at this too, guys, and if you watch back here where this one blows off, okay, watch the brightness and just the typical signature that you see. Okay, see how it comes off like that? And again, you know, it's not that big of a deal because it didn't come at us. But what I want you to understand here is after that CME, everything went back kind of to normal. But watch how bright this gets right at the end. Okay, you see that? You see how it's starting to extend out? I think that we're probably experiencing another little ejection. Okay? If it's not going directly off the back, it could be going off the side a little bit, which would mean that some of the energy, we can't see some of it because it's behind this occulter. Okay? But again, it's not coming at us, so it's not that big of a deal. But again, it points to stuff just becoming more and more active. So we may be having another CME that's pointing off that way. Now, something else I noticed right at the end of this time lapse, if you look right here, which would kind of be our direction, it looks like something may be starting to come off. I mean, like right on the end there. So we'll keep an eye on it. And again, it would take 3 to 5 days for that thing to get here anyway. So there's no sense of being in a hurry to rush out and try to give people this information, because it just ain't going to do any good. It's better to wait and get the data and then show it. I know a lot of people like to be out there first, and I get that, okay? But the fact of the matter is, a lot of times when you do that, you make mistakes, and you end up having to come back and correct them. If you're that kind of a channel, some people just ignore it and keep moving. But, you know, that is what it is. So, but I wanted to bring that to you and show you that. Okay, guys, this is Comet Atlas. I'm going to give you an update on that real quick. But this, I'll just give you the statistics on it right now. Actually, it's breaking up again, guys. It's gonna break completely away. All right, it's going to pretty much disintegrate is what's going to happen. You got about 3 separate sections now. They knew this about a week or so ago when they said it was starting to dim. They could tell that the core was breaking up, and it was breaking up in a linear fashion, which is very consistent for a comet. So, you know, what's that mean for us? Well, again, like I said a few weeks ago, probably nothing. Okay? This is why we watch it. We watch it, we're skeptical, we want to pay attention to what's going on, but we don't want to go out there and make grand claims about this thing. Because the fact of the matter is, none of us really knew. This thing did not even show up until December of 2019. Nobody knew it was there. That's when it was discovered. Okay, now through mathematics and such like that, they were able to deduce that it was on a 6,000-year orbit, or roughly thereof. Okay, So that means it had been here for, it could have been here a couple different times or whatever, right? They think it was broke off from a different comet that had disintegrated or broke up, and this is a piece of it left, right? So the next question, guys, would be, what happens when it breaks up? Are we going to go through a debris trail or what? Okay, guys, they picked something they couldn't be wrong about. Right? They picked this comet to talk about because they knew they couldn't be wrong with whatever happens. They knew that if it held together, they could point up to the sky and say, look at the daytime star there. That ain't usually there. It's causing all of our Earth problems. But now that it's breaking up, now they can sit there and say, hey, listen, look at the debris trail. My gosh, look at all the problems it's causing. So they knew that when they started saying that this comet had something to do with what's going on, that they couldn't be wrong. Now, I want to say this too. I do think it's very, very, very suspicious at the least of the timing of all this. Okay? That this thing's coming around. We didn't know it was here till December. We got this global thing going on as far as people being sick. And plus a whole lot of other things, right? It's all happening at once. Is it all related? I think that most of it is at some level. But not necessarily this. Okay? I ain't saying it can't be. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, I don't think this really is a big player in what's going on. I think that, again, now it's breaking up. And at the very most we're ever going to see from this thing is a debris trail that may give us a meteor shower. Most meteor showers come from debris trails from comets. We have them all the time. We know when they're going to be here. We know when we're going to pass through them. They're very predictable. But we're all still here, right? So the debris trail from this thing wouldn't be anything different. And it most definitely is not going to be as big as, some of the other ones that we experience all the time every year. And to be honest with you, I don't know that this debris trail would even make it into our orbital line. I think just momentum itself, the position of this thing, would bring it inside of that. And we probably will not even have a debris trail from this thing give us any kind of a meteor shower at all. If this thing holds together at all and it gets, close enough to the sun's going to eat it up. That's a fact. The sun does it all the time. There was just a sun diver yesterday. Scott seen it. There was a couple other people that seen it too. You can go over to LASCO C2 or C3 and you can see it pretty easy. It's a little itty bitty one on the screen anyway. But it was what they call a sun diver. It dives right into the sun. The sun sucked it right in, man. Okay? So, I don't want to go too much more on this because it's just a negative conversation to have. But if somebody's going to tell you something like this, that this is like, they pick something that they can't be wrong about, right? And they work it into their own little theory or narrative, whatever you want to say there. Be very, very cautious of that, okay? Go look at this information for yourself. I always, I tell you guys that all the time, and I really mean it. You guys are smart. Go look at it for yourself. Make up your own mind. Don't let somebody else tell you how to think. Okay? But stay grounded at the same time. Keep your skepticism, but also keep your bearings, okay? And, go look at all the information you possibly can on everything. Not just one subject, on everything. I just don't know how this... Never mind, I'm not going to go that far into this. But what I want to say, guys, is please, just go research it yourself. You guys can see what this thing's doing now. Do you guys really think that something this size, it's only just a little bit bigger than the Empire State Building? When it breaks up into little small pieces? How much of an effect could it actually have on us? Think about that for a minute. I've already pointed out the fact that people were saying this thing was, the size of 5 Jupiters or the size of half the sun. What they were talking about there, guys, is the atmosphere of it. not the actual core of it. So now you guys got to think about this. If this thing's breaking up at its core, the atmosphere of this thing's going to go away. It's most definitely going to get smaller. So keep that in mind too. So the effects that this thing can actually have on anything right now is very, very minimal. And I really think if you guys research this out at all, you guys will probably come to that same conclusion. So I am going to leave it there, guys. I'll probably come back with another video later on, tomorrow maybe. So yeah. God bless. Yeshua saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, the magnetosphere stuff that I was showing, me and Scott did a live stream. That tool was down for over a day shortly thereafter. Just letting you guys know, it's back up and running now. And it's actually, we're getting some solar wind and we're seeing it there. But I just wanted to point that out too. Seeds is still down, by the way, also. I think I mentioned that earlier. But anyway, God bless. Yeshua saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.